Hey, what's up, guys? Tugi here, back again, episode 21 of Rebuilding Hockey Town, and let's get right down to it. We are a little bit over the halfway point in Season 4, 46 games played. We're 5 points out of a playoff spot, so that means we should just give up, right? We should sell and move on. Our chances to make the playoffs this year are over. There's no chance. No. We're not giving up on this team yet. We're not giving up on this season. The goal was to make the playoffs, and until it looks like that's not going to happen, we move forward as scheduled. Now, this team, of course, there's still a lot of question marks as to who is going to be around in the future. And when you look at the AHL, and you factor in that we are getting some crazy progression from some of these players, absolutely, there's going to be change even as soon as next season. You know, we will get to the preseason for Season 5 and trades will be made. But you look right now, I'm still unsure of who stays. Martin Ferk really needs to prove himself here if he wants to be a permanent third-line guy. We've switched him back to a sniper. He needs to step up. Come trade deadline time, if we're not in the playoff spot, he goes. Evgeny Svechnikov, I'd love to have him on this team. We drafted his brother Andre for a reason. He was a power forward. He didn't do anything. 11 points. We've changed him back to a sniper. We will see what he can do. And then you have so many other guys. It's a logjam of third-line players. Faxa, Turgeon, Baptiste, Bertuzzi. It's going to be interesting here. Now, I don't want to say criticized in the past for giving up on players too early. I'm not going to do that because, after all, who am I going to trade Dominic Turgeon for? I'm not going to be able to get a really high-end player for him. I might be able to get two lesser prospects. It's like right now we're in a spot where we need to see, what prospects we're actually going to stick with while they're continuing to develop. The oldest player on this team is Ferk at 26, and he still has a year's worth of progression. He could make it realistically to an 86 overall. So it's far too early and simply not the right time to give up on some of these players. But that time could happen sooner rather than later, especially for the defense. You guys know who's on the roster at the moment. But then you look here. Hronik. I believe I'm pronouncing that properly. Yeah, I don't know. 84 overall. Still listed as a depth defenseman, though. He's guaranteed to make the NHL lineup next year. We could call him up now, realistically. Chalowski's an 83. Niemelainen, Yarvi, Nicholas Haig, all 82s. And I talked about more than likely having to trade defensemen to get players their proper playing time, but it's tough. I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches as far as the defensive situation goes. But like I said, starting off, let's just continue the sim. Let's continue the sim and see what happens, because we still have quite a bit of a ways to go. I should note as well, and I just thought of this, and there was that slight pause in my voice. The auto-rotate goalies is something I'm going to look at. For now, I'm not going to turn it on just to save time here. But then we get an injury, so much for saving time. But, yeah, there are going to be so many changes between the rest of this season. The next off season's going to be absurd. For once, I'm going to be patient. Now, who is a scratched forward? Hudson Elnuik, Carson Twarniski. You are currently scratched. That way I don't have to edit two different lineups. Let's go with best lines here. It's a shame that Nico Hischier just went down to injury because he's been pretty damn good this year. And it actually puts Christopher Higgins in over Twarniski, despite him being 4 overall points better. That's not a good sign of the game's faith in Carson, but I got faith in you, buddy. They should update your picture because you still look like you're 15 years old there. Yeah, just saying. But let's get Liljegren back up there. Pionk on the left-hand side, and we are good to go. Of course, Sergei Bobrovsky between the pipes. How long is he going to be a part of this franchise? I mentioned that in the last offseason when we picked him up. And another injury. Holy shit. Not for too long, but still. I mentioned when we sign Bobrovsky, he's there until Ian Scott or Van Pottelberg are good to go. Joseph Wall, though, up to an 81 overall. If he and Van Pottelberg progress enough, Bobrovsky could go sooner rather than later, and then the two previous goalies I just mentioned, one of them would be shipped out when Ian Scott's good to go. It's a hell of a situation to be in. We're going to call up Elnuik because, again, he is also scratched at the moment, and that way I don't have to edit the lines. So let's go best lines again and fix this to how we would prefer it. That's looking okay, although we need to take Chris Higgins out. I don't know what the game has against Tornitzky. Not a clue. But damn, so let's get him back. Even then, even though we're not using our two best options, I still don't mind the look of that fourth line. And hopefully Sniper Tom Wilson, he's not actually a sniper, we still have him as a grinder, but hopefully Tom Wilson can deliver some offense on that third line alongside Tyler Bertuzzi. Scouting, let's go goalies for 3 weeks, I guess. There's only 2 of them, but whatever, I'm not all that concerned. Nico Hischier. All right, I need to hit continue and then spam the B button. Don't sim that game against Pittsburgh. Please, because I really don't want to lose morale on our player here. We're good. Hischier didn't lose anything. Good. Very, very concerned about that. We will send down the other 2. Even though Hischier and Furk aren't fully healthy, I'm willing to risk it here just because it's a situation. That's what it is. It is a situation. But let's get Svechnikov back on the top line. It's funny that it puts Baptiste on the top line still. I'm honestly not sure why it does that. I guess the game has a little bit more faith in him. Let's put Van Pottelberg in, and hopefully it plays him against Pittsburgh. It already simmed that game. That's fine. So Van Pottelberg against the St. Louis Blues, and that's back-to-back 3-2 losses and 4 straight losses overall. Still 5 points back of the Lightning. They're not even in a playoff spot at this point. That's not good, is it? That is not good. Van Pottelberg a 903, Bobrovsky down to a 915 save percentage. Those changes might have to happen in this episode. They really might. Now, I think Furk is the only guy that I'd end up trading. I don't think I'd trade Svechnikov. I'd be willing to give him another chance, probably playing him on the third line. But then you factor in Radek Faksa. I'd probably move him back up to the second line. Maybe. It's tough to say. It is tough to say right now. But Bobrovsky gets the next 3 games, unless, knock on wood, we have to deal with another injury. And we've snapped that 4-game losing streak, so that's good. Grand Rapids also doing well. I'm not surprised with their defense, of course. Their defense is crazy. We lose another 2 games. I have to admit, I expected us to be a playoff team. I really did. Now, our roster, our lineup isn't the greatest. Obviously, we don't have that big-time game changer. I mean, Dylan Larkin's a 90, but, he's never going to lead the league in points for us, even though he is listed as a first-line forward. Ideally, he'd be a second-line guy for us. But I kind of hoped with Sergei Bobrovsky that we'd, make the playoffs, and that's not looking like it's going to happen. And if we end up trading people, I don't really have a set plan aside from looking at teams that are potentially worse than us, or looking at teams at the top of the standings and seeing if they want to pick anybody up. I don't have a set plan. I absolutely don't. So I would prefer that we get our shit under control here and make the playoffs. But we are rapidly running out of time. Again, I got to switch the goaltending. Really wish that I've said it a million times. Franchise mode changes, I have a list. I might do a video, I don't know. Videos like that, like, things I want to see in NHL 18. The fact is, the game's already under development. Any major changes, I'm going to guess by now, are out the window, right? I mean, it's just the way it works. Like, I'm sure they have everything in place that they're doing. Now it's just a matter of implementation. But I've mentioned, like a scouting overhaul would be great. I mentioned something as simple as being able to hit the Y button from the calendar screen to switch your goalie would be a major convenience. Because, again, I don't have that much faith in the auto-rotate goalies. Maybe that's just because in previous games it was kind of broken. So I'm not entirely trusting that system still, even though I might look at checking it out. I've had a couple of people say it works fine this year, or just in general, why don't you have it on? That's why. Old habits are hard to break. I've been so used to turning that off for as long as it's been implemented. The trade deadline's got to be right here, right? Yeah, it is. It's... All right, well, February 29th, that's a leap year. We play Edmonton, and the trade deadline's here. We have to decide, what are we going to do? We're 6 points back of the Florida Panthers. Tampa not currently in a playoff spot. If I sell, do I go for draft picks? Maybe different we don't need more prospects. At least not prospects who are ready. The best thing to do would be to either trade them for someone who's NHL ready or trade them for picks, because we're going to be graduating so many players from the AHL level to the NHL level moving forward. But let's see here. In the Metro, who has the other wildcard spot? 71 points. So we are 6 points out of a playoff spot. We have a game in hand on Florida. We are 6 points out of a playoff spot. Is that too far down the totem pole to recover? And I think it might be. As disappointing as that is, it might be the right call to sell. Which, like I said, Ferk, Brickley, and Pionk are probably going to go here. Svechnikov, I mean, he's rebounded a little bit. What was he at? 4-7? And now he's at 9-9. So he's rebounding a little bit, thankfully. Larkin, he's good to go. That's fine. Mantha's having a really good year, as is Nico Hischier. Jonathan Dahlen not going anywhere. Martin Ferk has picked up, 5 points? So he's done better since we switched him to a sniper. I don't necessarily want to get rid of him. Radek Faksa, good season. Turgeon, Baptiste. The point total-wise, we're not doing terribly. What is the problem? I don't understand the problem. Liljegren has 33 assists. What is the issue? Why are we underperforming? Man, what is it? Is it flat out goaltending? It's tough to say. What is wrong with this team? Now, sooner rather than later, yeah, someone like Ferk's going to be traded, so should I just do it now? Probably. I don't necessarily want to, though. He's turning it around. Brickley and Pionk, whatever. They're both playing relatively well. Pionk's plus-minus isn't great, but he has 26 points. Damn, but then, again, you look at the AHL level. All of the guys in green are going to be competing for an NHL spot next year. And then defensively, we have 3 guys who are NHL ready right now at 83, 2 83s and an 84 overall. Man, do I just sacrifice the season? Do I just sacrifice the season, let it be a losing year without selling too much, and then at the start of next season, once we hit the preseason, is that where I sell? Because again, I'm not too worried about draft picks. I'm really not. I might just sell Bobrovsky. That might be the only thing that I do here. Part of me is thinking, just sell Sergei Bobrovsky, because why not have Van Pottelberg and Scott as our Joseph Wall as our duo. That'll make Ian Scott the starter in the AHL. We'll take a goalie back in the deal and just have him be the backup. But otherwise, man, Rasmus Dahlen's coming up soon too. Oh my god. I was waiting for this issue. It's happened much sooner than I expected. But, absolutely, we could trade Brickley and Pionk, and that would open up space. That would get Connor Hall. Connor Hall's playing. It's White and Stevens that haven't had any ice time this year. Yoki Harju as well hasn't been playing down in the AHL. Oh my god. A jump cut here would be perfect while I make up my mind. It really would be. But Brickley, Pionk, both 24, about as good as they're going to get. They might improve even further. Right. I think I'm going to trade... Would trading Bobrovsky really hurt our chance? What's our draft pick situation? What is our draft pick situation? We already have 3 second-round picks. 2 thirds, 2 sixths. It's not like we need an incredible amount of draft picks. Oh man, this is tough. I really had my fingers crossed that we would make the playoffs this year. Now, could I work out a deal? I mean, they could technically use a better backup, but I don't really mind screwing over Anaheim. But see, like, I wouldn't want to pick up anyone like Manson or Theodore. We don't need them. So, what team? I could just go look at the standings. Boston was below us with 28 wins. So, wow, Chicago. Holy God. 47, 9, and 7. Oh my God. So, the Bruins were at 20 wins. And Washington's at 23. So, the Bruins, a division rival, though. So, that wouldn't be good. San Jose listed as a rebuilder. Oh, man. What do we do? Do I just keep this team together and go for it and then sell Bobrovsky at the draft? I might just keep this. I think I'm going to keep this team together. Fuck it. I'm sorry that you just, like, the past 5 minutes have been, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then I decide to do nothing. But at the draft, if there turns out to be a prospect that I really want to get, that's where I can move Bobrovsky. But for now, I'm not going to sell. I'm not going to sell. And we're going to see with 20 games left, which we'll do it all in this episode. Let's see if we can make the playoffs. We don't necessarily need the picks. We don't necessarily need the prospects. We're good. And I don't, with a losing season, want to trade prospects for these better players, like mid to high 80s players, because we might miss the playoffs anyway. So we're in a situation where it doesn't make sense to buy, and selling might not make the most sense either. So let's just go for it. Let's just go for it. If it's a losing season, it's a losing season. But we're going to stand pat, and we are going to hope for the best. Now, Bobrovsky will get quite a few games here. I might go with a 2-loss policy to give Van Palderberg a chance. He hasn't been tremendous this year, but whatever goalie can win us games, the better. You watch, we're going to lose here. Actually, Liljegren went down to injury. Damn. Mild concussion for Liljegren. So we can call up probably Stevens. I don't want to call up anyone who's already in the lineup. But you notice these top 3 are still listed as depth defensemen. So at least, we're not hurting their potential or their overall by having them sit. Let's call up Devontae Stevens. Get him some playing time at the NHL level, even though he hasn't been playing at the AHL level. We'll go best lines once again. And again, I'm going to have to fix this, but that's fine. Wow, it puts Svechnikov all the way down on the 4th line. That's a sign that I probably shouldn't ignore, but it's one that I'm going to ignore. So let's see. Stevens is a lefty. Perfect. That line's looking good. I don't know if Bobrovsky won, so I won't switch him out here. We probably lost. No, we won 4-2. All right, cool. I might just keep him anyway, just to make the sim go a little bit more quickly. But we have lost 2 out of 3 games so far to start the month of March. That is now 3 out of 4. Ah, boy. All right, at least Liljegren's healthy. Did we beat Buffalo? Yes, we did. 6-1, and then Rourke Chartier goes down to injury in Grand Rapids. Tippett and Radish, both 83s now for Menton, up to an 81. That is insane. Torniski, Elnewick. I hate that you can't scroll through it with the bumpers. Let's go with Morand, just because he's a center. That is the only reason. And we'll have to send Devontae Stevens back down. I'm sorry. Like the Chris Campoli is upset about not playing. You are making $16 million this year. You shut your face. You will sit up in that press box and you will like it. Now, honestly, how's Svechnikov doing? I'm just going to go with best lines. What best lines set up is what I'm just going to have this team be. Because who cares? We're probably not making the playoffs. So we would have to win the majority of our games here for the final month or so. Daniel Brickley goes down to injury. The injury bug fighting back. It's been a relatively quiet season on the injury front. Really, since we decided to have the slider as low as it is with the 9 out of 100. But, yeah. Wow, Stevens dropped to a 77. He dropped 2 points. So, let's go with Colton White. Colton White will get the chance, and then we'll send you down, and you'll be pissed about it. But that's okay. That's okay. I don't blame you for being pissed about it. But unfortunately for you, I still want you on this team. And as it turns out, everyone else that you're competing with the job for is an absolute monster of a prospect and absolutely eclipses you on the depth chart. No doubt about it. I really do wish I didn't waste 5 minutes, as we just lost Tom Wilson. Oh my god. I wish I didn't waste 5 minutes. Like, for the most part, I felt, okay, I might not make a move here. I should have just made that decision earlier. Like I said, this upcoming offseason, all the moves that I just, held off on making will be made then. So, get ready for that. I'm going to call up Elnuyik. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to give Owen Lane the chance. I don't believe he was in the lineup. So let's give Owen a chance. We'll go best Lions and switch to Van Pottelberg. It actually still goes with Chris Higgins as the fourth line guy. That is unfortunate and has to waste a little bit more time, but that's fine. Owen Lane is in. Very odd that it puts Athanasiou into the lineup. I genuinely don't remember if I put Van Pottelberg in. I don't know what goal he just won. He is going to continue to play. Absolutely. The Griffins might break 50 wins. That would be sweet. Tom Wilson is back. All right. More line changes because you just can't get enough of seeing this menu screen. Not at all. Not at all. All right, so Lane gets sent down. Sorry for that, and hopefully your overall doesn't plummet, but it had to happen. We go best Lions with Tom Wilson back in. Antoine Morand needs to be scratched for Rourke Chartier, and we are good to go. Let's see. Can we make the playoffs? Probably not if we keep dropping points to division rivals. 32, 34, and 7 on the season. That is rough for sure. We lost to Chicago too. I think that's it, guys. I think that's it. We held off on the trades at the deadline. Wow, we have 3 games to end the season. What the hell? 4 games on what, 5 nights? Man. Wow. That is disappointing. I thought this would be the first year to at least, out of all the years that we've had here now with this team, this was the one where I expected us to actually make the playoffs. And that hasn't happened. Joseph Wall has played every game. They've done well enough, so we'll put Ian Scott in for the rest of the season. That is one of the big failures of this year, aside from, missing the playoffs, is, not having Ian Scott start more. We're going to have Van Pottelberg play the majority of these games. He'll get the next 3. Bobrovsky will play against the Rangers in the final home game of the season, and that will be it. That will be it. Van Pottelberg, 2 straight wins, including a 4-0 shutout of the Sabres. We lose to the Columbus Blue Jackets, however. All right, Sergei Bobrovsky, what could be your last game in a Red Wings uniform? It could be it. This could be it for old Sergei. Well, a one-and-done season for Bobrovsky. I expected him to be able to drag us to the playoffs, and that didn't happen. That did not happen. I believe this is the third time in one of my series over the past, year and a half that I've been doing this that we've had Bobrovsky on a team. The first time, he was awful. The second time, as Tom Wilson goes down to another injury, the second time was in the Blue Jackets to Nordiques series, and he was pretty good for us, I would say. Do I remember all the fine details? No, that was a while ago at this point. But, yeah, disappointed in him. Disappointed in him. Let's just have Higgins in the lineup. Who cares? Who cares? Best lines. And that puts Bobrovsky in. I think I was supposed to switch him. I was! Oh well, whatever. We'll switch him back. What's another 15 seconds, right? This video is going to be over half an hour because we have to, of course, sim to the end of the playoffs. We got to look at the stats. And then I get to post this video and look at all the comments saying, Toogie, what the hell is wrong with you? You should have just made trades. You should have gotten rid of this guy. And remember, we can still do that. We can still do that. Did we have a disappointing season? Absolutely. But we can recover from this, and we will. We lost all 3 games, 3 straight losses on 3 straight days. That is harsh. Alex Formenton goes down to injury. Tom Wilson's apparently back. And that is it. The NHL season has come to a close. And I'm sorry if there's a weird jump cut there, guys. The game capture started to quit out on me. Thankfully, I caught it, rather than, editing this video and then finding out, oh, hey, look at that, I have to re-record. I caught it in time, which is good. Let's take a look at the stats before we start to sim to the end of the playoffs. Of course, we'll keep an eye out on that. We finished dead last in the division with 75 points. And I believe, once again, finished 26th in the NHL. Again, in line for a top 5 pick. Disappointing, as I felt like we should have made the playoffs this year. But yeah, interesting. And then you take a look. The goals for per game, middle of the road for us. But the goals against per game, we were up there. And that is a problem. You would expect better from our goaltending. You would expect better from our defense. I should note, though, down in the AHL, although their season is not over, the Grand Rapids Griffins, the number 1 team, and have clinched their conference. The only team to break 100 points so far. So the future is bright, of course, but a very, very disappointing season. But as we take a look at the point totals, Anthony Mantha with 60 points led the way. Nico Hischier, 58 points, and Jonathan Dahlin, 51. Yes, the future is bright. Larkin also broke the 50-point mark. So ideally moving forward, Dahlin and Hischier on the top line, maybe Larkin and Mantha on the second line. Radek Faksa, 47 points, not terrible. Athanasiou, 44 points on the fourth line. You beauty, you gem. You could be on our fourth line for years to come. Liljegren, 39 points. Baptiste, 39 points. Nurse and Pionk, both 31 points. 29 for Tom Wilson. Svechnikov, 27 points. He picked it up once we switched him back to a sniper, so there's still some hope. Same with Ferk. He started to at least turn it around. I think he only scored 1 goal in this episode. Doubled his assist total, though. More than doubled it. He finished with 23 points. It's not looking great for him. It's not looking great. Again, with the amount of players that are potentially going to come up in the next season, it's going to be tough for him to stick around. Sergei Bobrovsky as well. This might have been his only year with us. A .911 save percentage, a .907 for Joran van Pottelberg. Let's take a look league-wide. I'll probably take a quick look at the AHL stats as well. We will sim to the end of the season. We'll sim the rest of the season. It's amazing when you try to say 2 things at once. Not surprised Corey Crawford led the way in terms of wins. The Blackhawks were insane. Oscar Dansk had a pretty good season. as did Jacob Markstrom, Connor Ingram as well. All right, let's take a look. The leading scorers. Who do we have? Malta Stromwall led the league in points. He's an 83 overall, but his offensive category is good. It's not that good. I don't get it. It's like he's glitched out. It's like he's glitched out. 94 points, 59 goals. It's just stupid. Just stupid. Kucherov in second, Stamkos up there as well. No surprising names, I would say. At least not yet. Denis Gurianov, 76 points. Not bad at all. But yeah, some still familiar names. The goal scoring leader, of course, was Stromwall. I don't know if he was technically a rookie. If he was, I mean, my God, the Calder is his. Let's find out as we take a look at rookie skaters. And no, Nicholas Aubé-Kubel, 65 points. DeBrincat was 64. That's going to be a pretty close race for the Calder. Then you had Barzal, Vorobyov, Kaprizov, Fisher, Jonathan Dahlin, respectable first season. But yeah, it goes to one of those first two guys. Goaltenders, I don't know if we have anybody in the race. Nedeljkovic could be in there. It could be him. John Gillies up there as well. It's going to be interesting to see who takes home the Calder. And for the hell of it, the AHL, of course, Joseph Wall played pretty much every game. Ian Scott got a couple of games there at the end and wasn't spectacular. Owen Tippett had a pretty damn good season. And I don't do this often. Let's look at AHL scoring. This episode's already going to be kind of long anyway. Henrik Borgstrom, of course, in the Florida Panthers organization, 78 points. Again, that season's not over, but he's pretty much guaranteed to have led the league. I did see Joe Hickett's there. I did. It's not as if we don't have other players that have, are just as good with even better potential. But let's sim forward here. You get a look at the NHL bracket. Anaheim and Calgary. All right, we'll see if that goes the way the real series did. Vancouver and Edmonton, Chicago, St. Louis, Minnesota, Dallas. And then in the East, Montreal, Columbus, Ottawa, Tampa, the Islanders and Rangers, a battle for New York, and Pittsburgh and Carolina, the final series. I just remembered, we're going to get to follow along with the Grand Rapids Griffins, aren't we? Fantastic. So let's do that. And since I'm not worrying about potential, I'm going to go best lines and just roll with whatever the game decided is the best way to go about things. So let's just roll with it. We want that team to win. So we will follow along, of course. We'll see who wins the cup. We'll take a look at their team. We'll look at the awards, and then that will be it for this slight marathon episode. It is longer than I expected it to be, but to be honest, it's because I thought we'd essentially have 2 more episodes. I thought we'd have this one, and then the next episode would have been the trade deadline and simming the rest of the season. Because we didn't make any moves, that plan changed. But that's okay. That is okay. I mean, I put up a video not too long ago that was like an hour and a half long, so it's not like I really care. But the Griffins play the Milwaukee Admirals in the first round, and in the first game, Carson Twarynski goes down to injury, but they picked up a 5-4 win. They get shut out in Game 2. They win Game 3, and Game 4, they win. Beautiful. Of course, the first round in the AHL is a best of 5, and the Griffins are moving on. Beautiful. Who will they play in round 2? They will play the Charlotte Checkers. Right. Scouting, I really don't care too much about, but whatever. We'll keep going. And let's see. We'll sim the first 4 games of this series. A 5-0 shutout win in Game 1. A 5-2 victory in Game 2. They drop Game 3. And then Game 4. The series is tied. Disappointing to throw away a lead like that. Twarynski goes down to injury again. But they win Game 5. Beautiful. Game 6 is a loss. I noticed Haig complained about ice time. That's scary. He might not have to worry about it. They go to Game 7. And they win. They win. Now, I am very worried about players complaining about ice time, but it is just for the playoffs. Hopefully hopefully they can overcome and not have that kill their morale. Hopefully. But let's see here. The conference final against the Tucson Roadrunners. Another injury. Alex Formenton goes down. They've dropped the first 2 games. They win game 3. Another injury to Kayla Yamamoto. But they have the series tied. Battling injuries. Decisive game 5. They drop it in overtime. Game 6. Will that be it for their season? It's not once again. They force a game 7. Can they win it? Yes, they can. 2 straight Game 7 victories. And the Grand Rapids Griffins are moving on to the Calder Cup final against the Hartford Wolfpack. Let's see what happens here. They win the first 3 games. Did they sweep them? I think they swept them. They did. The Grand Rapids Griffins. Fantastic. The Ottawa Senators win the cup, which is whatever. But the Griffins, 2 straight Game 7 victories, and they sweep Hartford in the final. The 50-win Griffins, the best team in the AHL all year, and they get the job done. Which is good, because that means we have a rookie class coming up that knows how to win, that knows how to get the job done. It's perfect. A perfect ending to that season. Let's take a look at the playoff tree. Of course, there, you already know we're good to go. I honestly didn't even mean to hit the button. But the Senators beat the Oilers in 6 games. Because we're already over time here, I'm not going to name off every series, but you guys can pause and take a look at your leisure. Let's take a look at the Sens, the team that just won the Stanley Cup. Let's take a look. What does a cup-winning team look like, as I went way past their name? So let's see. Erik Karlsson, Mike Hoffman, Mark Stone, Bobby Ryan. They picked up Stanislav Galiev from Washington, and he had 23 points in 25 games. Colin White's on their team. He did well. They have Vlasic. Of course, Pajot's still there. Gabriel Gagne. Interesting. A lot of the same players. Being able to get the job done for them. And, of course, a lot of their younger guys, Thomas Chabot, have progressed. Colin White. So that is a cup-winning team. The goaltender was Chris Dreger. 86 overall, Chris Dreger, 23 appearances, a .924 save percentage. 1 appearance for Brian Elliott. He picked up the win, but he had a .571 save percentage. What the hell is that? That is unreal. Wow, that is crazy. That is crazy. But there you have it, the Ottawa Senators, your Stanley Cup winner. So far we've had the Blues, the Wild, the Blue Jackets, and the Sens. 4 different winners. Taking a look at the NHL Player Awards, Stromwall wins the Art Ross. He finally takes that away from Tarasenko. Kucherov took home the Hart Trophy, also taking that away from Tarasenko. Carlson wins the Norris, deserved. The Lady Byng goes to Stromwall, taking that away from Tarasenko. The Calder did indeed fact go to Albay Kubel, taking it away from the Nylander brothers. The Conn Smythe goes to Carlson. Carey Price wins the Vezina. Crawford, the Jennings. Josh Manson, the Masterton. McDavid gets the Selke. Interesting. Ted Lindsay to Kucherov. And, of course, the Rocket Richard to Stromwall. And then your Calder Cup champions for the second time in 4 years, the Grand Rapids Griffins. Henrik Borgstrom took home the Sullenberger Trophy for the most points. He also had the MVP of the league. We'll see if he can dominate the NHL like Stromwall did. Troy Terry scored the most goals. Still a little bit salty about missing out on him. He was the Rookie of the Year. Joe Hicketts, who we traded away, was the Defenseman of the Year. He took home the Eddie Shore Award. It sucked to get rid of him. I didn't want to get rid of him. It was the right choice at the time. Joseph Wall was your Goalie of the Year. 3 straight seasons we have had the Goalie of the Year on the Griffins. Fantastic. He was also the MVP of the playoffs. Won that award, as did Van Pottelberg. Borgstrom takes home some more hardware. Andre Padan and Evan Fitzpatrick spent the year in the AHL and he took home some hardware as well. So in conclusion, a decent season, I guess. You can look at it that way. I look at it that way. Disappointing to miss out on the playoffs. Didn't feel it completely necessary to buy or sell. Easily could have done that. We're still in a great spot with the players we have. The interesting thing is going to be how this team pans out. What does this team look like at the beginning of next season? A lot of changes are about to take place. It is going to be ridiculous. I'm looking forward to it. Of course, I hope you guys are as well. That is it for this one. If you have enjoyed this video, of course, feel free to support not only the video, but the channel in any way you deem necessary. We broke 3,500 subs. The 2-year goal was to hit 5K. We have until September 7th to do that. Challenge accepted. Challenge accepted. That is the new target. And like I said, I am very much looking forward to the months ahead as we go through the summer and head into NHL 18. But for now, my God, am I having fun with this series. I'm beyond excited for the next episode. I hope you guys are too. And until then, I'll catch you later.